back again to another episode of Miss Cindy's Kitchen. I know it's been a minute, but we were having computer issues, and then I was working some mighty long hours at work, so we're going to get back on track. And in previous episodes, I have always told you to check the recipes on the back of your food packaging. And the other day I needed to get some powdered sugar, and recently I went to Dollar General to get sugar, some brown sugar and some powdered sugar. And I always like to check the back of the packaging for recipes. And on the brown sugar, they had a recipe for a sugar crumb cake. And to me, that sounded really good. So I thought I would go through the recipe and bring you all along, and make sure you like and subscribe and share this recipe to your friends. And for the cake, there's two parts to this. There's the cake recipe, and then there's the crumb topping. And basically the cake recipe is kind of layered, where it's half the cake batter, half the crumb mixture, the other half of the cake batter, and then the other half of the crumb mixture. And this is in a 9x13 pan, and it did not say whether or not to grease it. So just to be on the safe side, I sprayed it with my pan spray. So anyway, we will take a picture of this recipe and post it in the video so you all can follow it along with the ingredients ready. It is 3.5 cups of flour, 4 teaspoons of baking powder, and then we'll put in 2 cups of white sugar, and 1 cup of butter, and 1.5 cups of milk, and then 2 teaspoons of vanilla. All right. Had an itch. All right, so we've got the flour in here. So to this, we are going to add in the 4 teaspoons of baking powder. So we have the 3.5 cups of flour, to which we added 4 teaspoons of baking powder. Now we're going to add 2 cups of white sugar. So that's 1, and then 2. I think there must be a sugar rock in here because it's pouring out kind of slow. So 2 cups of sugar, and I'm going to mix this with the whisk to mix it together. So that's the dry ingredients. And then to this, we are going to add in the 2 sticks of butter, which make up 1 cup of butter, because Dollar General is a company located in the South. This has to have a lot of butter in it. I'm just kidding. But a lot of Southern recipes call for butter.
Yeah, just like roll right out of your plate, or off your paper there. Yes.
And by and large, most recipes, when they call for butter, it's room temperature butter. So that's what I'm using. Because this recipe, it's a very small recipe. Not a lot of steps, not a lot of complicated procedures. So sometimes on these simplified recipes, you have to use your previously acquired baking knowledge to fill in the gaps. So when it says butter, I'm presuming it meant room temperature. So we are going to cut in the butter to the dry ingredients with this tool called a pastry blender. And it's not infallible. It does get hung up in the butter a little bit. So, and an alternative to this would be to grate your butter into really small bits and then blend it into the flour mixture. So while we cut in the butter, we're gonna pause here and then we'll bring you back when we're ready for the next step. And now we have the butter cut into the dry mixture.
Into the bigger bowl.
Yes, that's the magic of going off camera for a few minutes. We realized that we underestimated the size of the bowl needed, so we swapped out for a larger bowl. Plus it's clear so y'all can see better.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I also swapped out for another larger bowl for the other step because I realized the volume wasn't going to be nearly enough. So for the next step, we're going to combine 4 eggs, which I already cracked ahead of time. And then I'm gonna whisk the eggs just to break them up. For this, I needed a bigger bowl because I didn't want to be making a mess. I already cleaned up enough of those this past weekend.
Fun, though.
Well, for those making the mess, not for the one cleaning it up.
That is true.
Which tends to be me. So, anyway, we have 4 eggs. Then we're going to have the milk, which is 1.5 cups of milk. And by and large, I tend to use 2% milk because it's great for cooking and for drinking. Non-fat milk may be healthy, but most of the nutrients, it doesn't taste as good. So, and then it calls for 2 teaspoons of vanilla. So it's 1, 2. All right. And I already had the teaspoon out here, so instead of just doing the glug glug theory, I just went ahead and used that. Yeah. So, now we are going to add half the liquid to the dry mixture. Then after that's mixed, then we're going to add in the other half. So
just before we, what's up with the melted butter?
This is for the topping.
Okay, so
because there's also a crumb topping.
That's right. You told me that. I just wasn't sure what the melted butter was for.
So there's 2 different sides of the recipe. There's the cake batter part, and then there's the crumb topping part.
All right, cool.
So
back to what you were doing. So you're gonna pour half of that into the bowl.
Yeah, I'm gonna do half. A little bit more than half. So I don't know if it'll be thin enough for the whisk yet, so I'm just going to do the scoop and turn theory until it becomes smooth. And when you're mixing butter into dry, you want to have it look like coarse sand to be completely mixed. So that's kind of what you're looking for. I had my son help me with the with blending the butter into the dry because my wrists were getting tired. I work in an office and my hands get tired. So I'm going to mix this until smooth, and then I'm going to add in the other half of the liquid ingredients. And then you all can watch me make up the crumb topping. Alright, so that's pretty smooth. So let me add in the remaining liquid. And as you can tell, the red bowl that I started with wasn't going to be nearly big enough.
No.
No. That became quite apparent when we were mixing in the butter into the dry ingredients. I have a really nice mixing tool, but it's kind of hiding right now, so I'm using a spatula. Because I have a really nice batter tool. It's that blue tool. But for some reason it's hiding, and I don't want to end up wearing this, so I'm mixing it carefully.
It looks like it's becoming a wet batter.
Yeah, it's kind of like a cake batter, which you layer with the crumb topping.
Oh.
Yeah, because it's a crumb cake. So you've got a crumb layer in it. Alright, so now that that's pretty much uniform, I'm going to set this aside. And then I am going to make the crumb topping, which I will put in here. And for the crumb topping, I have the ingredients measured out. 1 cup of brown sugar, And then we have a teaspoon of cinnamon, 4 tablespoons of flour, and then we have a cup of nuts and a half a stick of butter melted. So let me just blend this in with the fork. So blending in the sugar. And then a cup of nuts.
Does it matter what kind of nuts?
It goes for walnuts.
Okay.
But you could probably use pecans, because pecans and walnuts seem to do well in most desserts.
And we got plenty of walnuts.
Yep. I need to get more out of the freezer and chop up. So I'm going to put in the half a stick of butter, which is a 1/4 cup of melted butter. Alright, so I'm going to mix this together. So for the next part of the recipe, we are going to place half the batter in here, and half the crumb mixture on top of that, then the other half of the liquid batter, followed by the rest of the crumb mixture.
Huh.
It's a layered crumb cake. So I'm just going to mix this so it's pretty well uniform. Alright, let me get a spoon. Alright, so what we're gonna do now is, it's just like what a redneck says before it says hold my beer. Okay, what we're gonna do now is pour half the batter into the prepared casserole pan. And again, it does not say whether or not to grease it first, but I just opted to do that, so it's like, why not? Whoops, make it easier to clean up afterward. So I'm going to smooth out the batter and then add the crumb topping. So I'm just going to, well, not quite as what I intended, but to sprinkle the crumb topping kind of uniformly across this batter. So you're going to do half. Alright, good enough. And then we're going to put the remaining batter on top.
Okay.
So, kind of spread this around evenly, somewhat evenly that is. Alright. Alright. This bowl's kind of hard to hold on to. That's why it's kind of an awkward grip here. Alright. So, let me spread out this batter. So, it's kind of making almost a swirl with the crumb topping that's below, which is fine because I think that's what the ultimate intent of this recipe is. Yeah. Alright, and now, you know what, just to make it easier to spread, I'm going to use my hands. Alright, the two best tools that you have in the kitchen are the ones that are on the ends of your arms. Alright, and then for our cleanup crew, we have a black and white dog that loves helping out in the kitchen.
And a black and white dog.
Yeah, we have 2 black and white dogs. My shadow, which is Dahlia, which is a 65-pound, I don't know if she's 65, but close enough. She follows me everywhere. So, anyway, this is going to cook for about 40 minutes at 350. And then we will bring you back when it's done and show you the yumminess. And our crumb cake has baked for 45 minutes at 350. And it looks absolutely divine, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
The crumb mixture has kind of become swirled and incorporated throughout the cake mixture. So anyway, we are going to let it cool for a little bit, and then we will do a taste test. So in the meantime, make sure you like and subscribe and share this video to your friends and leave us a comment. And we'll be back with you soon to show you the yummy cake. And we now have our cake that is cooled off enough to taste. And Logan is going to be our taste tester.
Woohoo!
So actually, let me get a knife to cut it into more uniform pieces. And as usual, I had a cabinet open.
At least.
All right. So I think this will be a 6 by 3 cake. I think will be a good size. So I'm gonna cut it up. What do you think, Logan? Does that look yummy, yummy, yummy?
Yes.
All right. I find if I cut uniform pieces at the outset, it fares better for the rest of the cake after the initial slices are gone. What do you think?
Yeah.
Should I cut it into squares or probably thirds? That would be better. Oh, this looks so good. Nummy, nummy, nummies. Do you want an edge piece or a center piece?
I do a centerpiece.
All right, well, let me get this one out of the way and then I can get a piece for the center. Ooh, that looks so good.
Wow.
The crumb came off on the bottom, and even though I greased it, it's sticking a little bit, so I'm glad I erred on the side of greasing the pan. Whoop. So we'll save this one, and then this one can be yours. A nice steaming piece of crumb cake.
Nice.
All right. And get some forks out, because it's a little bit too hot to eat with the... So now you can tell us what you think of this yummy crumb cake. Hot. Hot and delicious.
Yeah.
Your eyes are rolling back in your head. Is that because it's hot or because it's good?
Both.
All right. So anyway, thank you for joining us again for another episode of Miss Cindy's Kitchen. And make sure you liked and subscribed and share this video to your friends. And come back again soon for our next episode.
Thank you for watching Miss Cindy's Kitchen. To get more recipes like this one, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications when new videos are uploaded. Share it out to your friends, family, neighbors, and leave us a comment to let us know how this recipe worked for you. And don't forget to hit that like button. Again, thank you for watching Miss Cindy's Kitchen.